The Iorì wase podcast channel is brought to you by First Nations Fiber.
Welcome to the Iorì wase Front Page Podcast. In today's episode, we talk to Kahnawake Sustainable Energies President Bud Morris and Tewatohnhi'saktha Board of Directors Chairperson Greg Horn about the Day Culture Wind Farm project in St. Remy and St. Michel.
Have you ever been gaming or working online classes and your internet service constantly gets interrupted? First Nations Fiber is about to ensure that just won't happen again. Get ready for high speed at a new level. Click on fnfiber.com and sign up today. First Nations Fiber, empowering people through connectivity.
Hey everyone, my name is Jordan Standup. I'm the assistant editor here at Iorì wase, and today I have two special guests with me in the studio. First of all, I have Kahnawake Sustainable Energies President, Mr. Bud Morris. I also have Tewatohnhi'saktha Chairperson of the Board of Directors, Mr. Greg Horn. I invited these gentlemen into the studio today so that we could talk about the Day Culture Wind Farm project. So welcome today, gentlemen.
Glad to be here. Good morning, everyone.
So in June, we attended, the three of us actually, because I saw you guys there for sure. We attended to celebrate the dedication of the wind farm, and that these wind farms are located in St. Remy and St. Michel. So there was a nice gathering just in June. Bud, can you tell us a little bit more about that? Because there was a lot of dignitaries involved in that particular gathering.
Yes, it was an important project for both Kahnawake and for our partner, Kruger Energy. It's one of the, first of all, it was the only Aboriginal project selected in the initial call for tenders back in 2010, and the only contract that was signed in 2011. So it's important that we're able to bring some recognition to that process. That, we were very diligent and worked hard to make sure that this project got off the ground and got built. So that reflects the ceremony that we had. Kruger, of course, a very important partner, and they wanted to showcase the hard work that we did together and bring together the local officials from the municipalities as well as government representatives. And I think it turned out quite well. Everybody seems to be very positive about this project.
So just to take it back a little bit, this project includes 6 wind turbines, a $70 million project. But can you tell us how Kahnawake even got involved in this project to begin with?
Mm-hmm. It's a long story, but to shorten it, back in the early 2000s, we were looking for revenue generation opportunities and at the same time being cognizant of our responsibilities to Mother Earth. And that's actually reflected in our constitution at the time, that we needed to be sensitive to those kind of important worldwide issues. So it ended up, we narrowed the field down to a couple of projects. One was in health, and the other one was in energy, and we decided wind energy would be the optimal project for us at that time. And so we began studying the wind energy potential in Kahnawake, and we concluded that at that given time, which was around now 2005, that the wind energy was insufficient for the technology that was then available to build the project in Kahnawake. And so we looked around for other sites, and eventually, after much ado, we landed in St. Cyprian de Naperville, where I would say things were not as welcoming as we had hoped. And eventually we decided that that project wouldn't be able to move forward there because of lack of social acceptability. And we ended up in the partnership with Kruger Energy in St. Remy and St. Michel, where we were welcome. And so it was a long journey, but I think the hard work has paid off.
Right, and the mayors of both St. Michel and St. Remy attended the gathering, and as you were just mentioning, Bud, they were receptive to the project, and they seemed very excited to be involved.
Absolutely, and I think it's also built another bridge between our communities. Although we had some sort of relationship with the surrounding areas, this one certainly brought it home that we have friends out there, that people who actually like the Mohawks of Kahnawake, and that was a novel experience. And happy to say that we have new friends in St. Remy and St. Michel.
So for a project of this magnitude, I'm sure one of the questions that everybody wants to know is what kind of benefits are we going to be seeing here in Kahnawake?
Well, directly to Kahnawake is the dividends that the project will pay over the lifetime of the contract, which is a 20-year contract. The initial revenue stream, we're estimating at approximately $1 million per year for Kahnawake. And that should increase due to efficiencies that are gained and implemented with the knowledge of the precise siting and the wind energy potential where the turbines are. So there's adjustments that are made that can increase the efficiencies of the production. And as well, there's a cost of living or consumer price indexing of the cost of electricity, and that's an automatic formula that gets applied to the cost of energy. And that will presumably increase over time as we're now seeing with inflation.
And Greg, I'm curious to know what Tewatohnhi'saktha's involvement is in this project.
Well, from the board's perspective, this was a project that was brought to our table before my time on the board, but it was something that once I got on the board, we were looking at the potential for this, and being the only Indigenous project that was approved by Hydro-Quebec and moving forward and seeing the potential for it. It was something that we said, we need to get involved with. And Kahnawake Sustainable Energies is a portion of Tewatohnhi'saktha, the way it's structured. And board members from Tewatohnhi'saktha are also on the KSE board. And so this is something that I think we've wanted to see come to fruition. And, it took a long time, a lot longer than expected. But now that it's in operation and getting to see all the hard work that Bud and Stéphane Poirier and Marissa and everybody else that was a part of this put in, and it's now live, it's very satisfying.
So these turbines have been in operation since the beginning of the year, if I understand correctly. But could you share some of the specifications for these turbines, Bud?
Yeah, their nameplate capacity is 4 megawatts per turbine. They're E138, manufactured by Enercon. It is a approximate hub height, I think, of 128 meters. Some of the largest land-based turbines in Canada, and very efficient. They have gearless transmissions, state-of-the-art turbines. We're very happy to have Enercon as our supplier, and we're confident that the turbines will produce as predicted.
Is there a life expectancy for these turbines?
The minimum engineered life is 25 years. So that's 5 years in excess of the contract period. We do think that the turbines can probably be extended beyond that period. And the hope is that at the end of the contract period, we will be able to negotiate another supply contract with Hydro-Quebec at the rates that are then market rates that will be in effect then.
And as we were mentioning earlier, the celebration that we attended in June, Bud, during that gathering, you were talking about the importance that Kruger placed on having Kahnawake involved in this project and the development of relationships. So could you talk a little bit more about that?
I think what we're seeing is corporations, governments, and just people trying to figure out what reconciliation with Aboriginal people, with Indigenous peoples means. And I guess it means something different for everybody. But for the business community, and in our particular case, Kruger Energy, I think recognized this as an opportunity to partner with an Indigenous community, which they normally do not go in that direction. They usually like sole proprietorships, although they do have other partnerships. And this one certainly kind of lit up all the right lights, so to speak. Good project, had a good pricing on the power. Kruger had the locations in St. Remy and St. Michel with proven wind energy from their existing wind farm in Montérégie. And so we had good, reliable data that we could draw from in terms of the wind energy potential. The anemometers that had been up for many years, as well as the actual turbines that Kruger installed back in the first part of 2012 or 13, I think, or somewhere around there. So I think for Kruger, this made a lot of sense. how do we move forward as a society with competing interests and overlapping claims and all these myriad of Indigenous issues. I think this is one example of how we can move forward.
So the development of all these relationships with, outside governments, communities, different organizations and businesses, how beneficial would that be for Tewatohnhi'saktha as well, Greg?
It marks a stepping stone in the right direction in being able to work together on various projects. And if we use this as an example of projects that can work, I think that, the future could be very bright in various, sectors and various projects that would benefit not just Tewatohnhi'saktha, but the community as a whole. And I think that's what some of the things that as Tewatohnhi'saktha we look at is how can we best benefit the community and the people that we serve and our clientele.
Right. And it's been a long road to this point. This is by no means an overnight success story. It's been years and years in the making. So is there potential for this to expand or be involved in other types of projects like this?
I would hope so. Energy demand is going to continue to rise. It will be directly proportional to our number of people that we have, and we're at 8 billion people, I think, now on the planet, or pretty close to it. And certainly we don't see any significant reductions in electricity in the coming decades. So renewable energy for us, I think, is a good place to be. We have the natural resources, we have the wind, we have other renewable sources as well. And I think it's a good example of how Indigenous communities and private businesses as well as government can work together to benefit not only the companies, but also the planet. And as our model says, our theme is balancing the needs of the people with the needs of the planet. And this is one good example.
And something that we touched on earlier is that the neighboring communities of St. Remy and St. Michel are very happy with how the project has turned out so far.
Yeah, I would say. And they've had the previous experience, as I said, of working with Kruger Energy on the Montérégie project. So Kruger Energy has demonstrated to them that they are reliable, they're honest, they're forthcoming, they're responsive. So when you're looking for a community partner, if you're a host municipality, then certainly you want a company like Kruger who can demonstrate that they are faithful to what they say.
As I mentioned, this is a huge project with a $70 million price tag. And with that being said, I was just wondering if either of you had anything else that you guys would like to note specifically about this particular project.
I'd just like to acknowledge all the people that worked on it, certainly, and not limited to the board of directors, the various faces that supported this project right from the beginning until till today. So, and that includes Greg. He was supportive of the project as well, of course, and there's a whole host of others. But there's been a lot of people who have touched this project over time, and they've all contributed in their own way to its success.
Just to echo what Bud had to say is that without everybody who's been involved throughout the years to support this project, it wouldn't happen. And that's testament to the hard work and the team that Bud had put together and keeping the board informed about what's going on. And it was just really a big team effort, and everybody was responsible for this success.
So this is some very, very exciting news, and I'd like to thank both of you guys for coming in today and sharing some information with me.
Pleased to be here.
Yeah, I'll go.
Thanks for listening to the Iori wase Front Page podcast. Be sure to check out our other podcasts like Meatheads and The Beating Table on Google and Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts.
The views and opinions of the guests expressed in this podcast do not reflect those of Iori wase and its employees.